Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm back with another designer interview and well today I'm actually joined by two designers, the co-designers of Thieves of Eldris. This is Ryan and Aaron's game all about, well, being thieves. So please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the game.
My name is Ryan Scott.
And I'm Aaron Crow.
And as mentioned, we're the designers of Thieves of Eldris. This is one of 3 games in the Twisted Realms world by Inside Up Games.
So each of the games has its own kind of theme, player count, and flavor. Thieves of Eldris is a hidden identity, hidden movement game where you're sneaking around a crowd of people trying to pick some pockets and using deduction to try to figure out who the other players are, kind of based on those movements.
This is an easy game to learn. It's an easy game to teach. And it plays in a short 20 to 30 minutes based on number of players. And it's a lot of fun. We're excited to have it out there.
So diving into the gameplay, players are going to be utilising the dice to move around sort of the market, the board in the middle. What can people do to maybe mitigate their luck if they get a bad dice roll?
So our goal while designing this game was to have no bad rolls. It's not fun to have a roll where you can't do anything. And so we did come up with some solutions that allow you to use different abilities depending on what your dice roll is. And we also have a reroll token. But in general, there aren't really any rolls where you can't do anything.
Yeah, thematically, we wanted the dice to kind of represent just that chaos of the crowd. And with that, there's not always control within that. It's not always an opportune movement. However, if you're playing the game where you're keeping an eye on what your enemies or the other players, the opponents are doing, as well as yourself, even if you don't have a role that can benefit yourself, you probably have a role that can disrupt what the other players are doing, which works to your advantage too. As it is a deduction game, you can kind of rule out some things that way. So if you're paying attention to the whole board, you actually pretty much always have something productive you can do on your turn.
That sounds fantastic. I love it when a game with dice has that sort of just mitigation out of the blocks, or just makes it so that not instantly rolling this number is better just categorically than something else. And it sounds like you've really taken that sort of on board in the design process. You've also really seemingly captured the sort of theme in terms of moving around that market and stealing coin, etc. Was this actually always the theme, or did it come around during the development?
The original theme of the game was actually assassins kind of going around and having contracts to assassinate each other. We were playing a lot of Assassin's Creed at the time, indie game called Thief Town. We really liked that idea of blending with the crowd. There's this whole mix of characters and not really being able to trust who was around you and all of that. So that was kind of what we had initially tried to convey.
Yeah, and then while pitching, we got a lot of feedback that Assassins is a little violent.
And we were playtesting with a lot of kids too, so we explored some different options.
Yeah, so we had thought about thieves. We had also come up with just any random theme we could. I mean, you came up with chameleons.
Chameleons blending into the trees.
We went a lot of different directions, but then after talking with Inside Up and going through that development, they came back around to thieves. And so that's what we settled on, and it was a really easy transition to that theme. We pretty much didn't change any mechanics to match it. Nope. Everything kind of went one for one.
As soon as you mentioned Assassin's Creed and the way in those games you move through like bodies of people in a market and try and blend in stuff, I can see where the inspiration for the game came from straight away. So that's really cool that you say that as the sort of the original source of inspiration. Now this is for 1 to 6 players. Did you find developing for like a solo as well as for non-solo, the 2 to 6 side of things, did you find those different, and did creating the solo game mode give you any headaches?
So solo is actually a pretty big challenge for us. Neither of us are very big solo board gamers. So when Inside Up asked us, if we could take a run at it, it was definitely a little outside of our comfort zone. I think the biggest thing with solo mode is that we still wanted to capture the spirit of deduction and kind of ruling out information, which is hard when you have the game kind of running itself in that way. So we did some where we're being very careful in the game giving you information, limited information to operate on. So you still get to make those guesses as to who you think they could be involved. But a large part of the strategy of the solo game is actually minimizing how much your opponents are capitalizing. A lot of times, especially as the solo mode goes on, the odds are stacking against you where you're not going to, your opponents are going to beat you to some of those contracts, and you just have to accept that. So it's really shuffling things around to minimize their gains, which are inevitable at that point. So it makes you think in a different way, but I still think overall it still kind of captures that spirit of what the game is and what we like about the game.
Yeah, and our original design was 2 to 4 players, and all of those pretty much played the same. We played around with some options for 2, but they ultimately weren't necessary. And then adding 5 and 6 wasn't too difficult. There's only 24 cards, and so when you have that many cards out, there's a little too much information, so we added a little twist for 5 and 6 players, but that was a lot easier to solve than the solo player was.
So I believe the two of you have worked on designs before, including a game called Teeter Tower. Was there any sort of learnings from that game that you've brought over to this one?
So funny enough, we actually designed this game before we designed Teeter Tower, and we took the experience and the connections we made pitching this game into Teeter Tower, and that helped us sign it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and just in terms of design, like we've designed together a lot. We like to bring each other ideas, play test them, and then we're normally on the same wavelength of what we think the strengths are, what we think the areas of improvement are. We also have different play test groups, so we can kind of go out, collect that data, reconvene, and kind of share our feedback with each other to help polish games to be the best they can be.
Yeah, I'd say we rarely disagree on any big picture ideas. And both of us always kind of feel like the game is unfinished, which is both a good and a bad thing. But it just means that when we bring an idea, we're never holding on to it that hard. We're always looking to improve upon it. So if he comes up with something that changes something I may have designed, I'm okay with it, because if it makes the game better, I'm happy with that. That's ultimately the goal.
Yeah, which is also why we love to collaborate with publishers who like to keep us in the loop on development, because we like to hear their feedback, and a lot of times it sparks that conversation, which unlocks a lot of ideas, I think, for everyone involved, and makes the game better.
You can really see the passion for designing and co-designing sort of thing when the two of you speak, which is really nice to see. So where can people go to find out more about Thieves of Eldris?
You can learn more about Thieves of Eldris and the other tales in the Twisted Realms by finding Inside Up on Facebook, on their Instagram, or going to our Kickstarter and checking them out. The other 2 games are a lot of fun. We played them, right?
Crits and Tricks, Tug of Roar, both awesome. A fantastic start to this new fantasy world that Inside Up is developing. So yeah, go check it out.
And I mean, you'll definitely want all 3, because look at this great box. You get all these nice bookends, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would look really nice on any gaming shelf, that is for sure. And let's follow on from that. What game would you say has the best box art?
I mean, if you're not talking about our box, I mean, look at this thing.
It's pretty
This
good.
is awesome.
It's pretty good.
It's really shiny. It's 3-dimensional. I don't know if you can tell. We're very excited about it.
Yeah. So, but if it's not that, my answer might be Tidal Blade's Hero of the Reef. It's just I have the Kickstarter edition, that like large panoramic box, and just looking at that just gets me excited to kind of jump into that world. So I think that might be one of mine.
I think the first game that I bought at a convention was Sagrada, and I think I bought that solely based on the box. It's a really good game.
It's a good looking box. Good game.
So I think I'm gonna have to go with that. So well done, Sagrada.
Good answer.
Some good picks there, and including your own. I do agree with that. I think it looks really nice. So, well, there we go. That wraps it up. That's goodbye from me, and
bye-bye!
Nailed it.
And thanks to both Ryan and Aaron for coming on and answering these questions. Links will be in the description box downstairs, such as to the Kickstarter, so you can go check that out. That is live as of now, so you can go and check all of the games, the 3 games that are sort of bundled together in the Kickstarter. Let us know any thoughts or what you think of the game and this interview in the comment section below. Smash that like button for engagement's sake and all that sort of YouTube jazz. And until next time, hope you have a, well, not thieving good day, but a good day.